Bible suggests that man was created in God's image, but it was really the other way around. Man created an idea of God in man's image. Man assumed there had to be some kind of higher power. They knew the offspring of a species was always the same species, so naturally they assumed that they descended from some type of being. They assumed this being must possess many of the same characteristics that they have, such as an ego. As they developed this idea of a God that is a being with an ego, they naturally assumed it also had preferences and acted according to them because they could not imagine anything other. The human imagination only works in pictures or past experiences. If there are no pictures or experiences to draw from, the human mind is very limited in its capacity to imagine. Humans developed an idea of a God that was little more than a higher, more powerful representation of themselves. This is completely understandable because they only had themselves to reference. The truth is, the human mind does not have the capacity to grasp the full complexity of God. God is so vast, so complex, so eternal that it cannot possibly be wholly contained within the minimal capabilities of a human mind. Fortunately, it is not at all necessary to wholly grasp the vastness of God to truly know God. Understanding God's true nature is the key that unlocks your ability to know God. To understand God's nature, you must come to know God beyond religion. Religion was created by man and is based on man's ideas of what God should be. Those ideas are limited by the experiences that your imaginations could draw from. In other words, man's ideas of what God should be are based on what man is. Man had no way to imagine an eternal connection. They logically assumed their existence was separate from their Creator. Because they lacked the awareness to experience God, they concluded that God's presence must need to be earned. Man has an ego and laws, so they naturally created rules for their religions. They created the concept of sin and the potential for eternal consequences because that was their human experience. Their imagination could work with that. This gave their lives meaning. They decided that the purpose of life must be to earn the way back to God's presence. They assumed that their idea of God, with its human-like ego, must need to be praised and must have put them here to prove their worthiness. They must be here to earn favor and eternal life. Those are all ideas originating from the human condition and have never been true. Man could not conceive of anything supernatural because it was not within their experience, so they developed ideas that they could make sense of and relate to. They imagined a super being and they gave it many of the same characteristics that man possesses, just on a larger scale. They had no idea that the ego is strictly part of a physical experience, so they unknowingly fabricated a spiritual being with physical constraints and called it God. They did not dream up these ideas on day one. The concepts within various religions developed and evolved over centuries, even millennia. Not because truth changes, but because the needs of religion do. If religion was truly of God and was revealed to man, it would not have evolved through debates spanning hundreds of years, resulting in countless denominations. If God wanted religion, it would have been well communicated and understood by all. It has never been, nor could ever be true. That is not the nature of God at all. The human condition struggles to comprehend anything not having an ego, not having preferences, not showing favoritism. Egos want to be favored and want others punished. Egos do not want to know that God has no preferences. Egos do not want to know that God made no rules. They too were man-made. Humans created a God to give the credit to and a devil to place blame on, but they have never understood the soul. They believe a soul is something to be saved, an aspect of themselves that can live on forever if they earn enough favor during this life. They got that wrong too. Your soul is not an aspect of you, you are an aspect of it. Your body does not have a soul, your soul has a body. God did not want religion because God does not want anything. God is not a being. God does not have an ego. God has no preferences. God is unconditional, period. God has never been constrained by the limitations of human imagination, although it fully supports your choices to believe in a God created in man's image. Always remember, you do not find the way, you become the way.